What's up YouTube, Jerry Land here with Nooba Tech. Today this is my second Red Komodo video and we are talking about the top 10 accessories that I think you gotta pick up for your Red Komodo. This is my minimal Red Komodo rig. What do you guys think? And here's what it looks like, fully rigged and kitted out. If you guys are curious about prices for anything or where you can pick one up, check the links in the description below. Let's dive right in. Number one, you gotta pick up a handle. Whether you choose a top handle, a side handle on your right or on your left, whatever you choose, I do think that with this boxy design, a handle is necessary. And my recommendation is the RED KOMODO Outrigger handle. It's about 500 bucks and I think it's well worth it. It's got a record button, it's fully articulating and adjustable, and it still leaves room for you to add on other accessories. I highly recommend a handle because this square box design is just kind of hard to hold even when you got a big lens on there. So make sure you pick one up. I'll leave a couple linked below that I really love. Number two must have is actually batteries. This might sound like a gimme, but you can actually power your Red Komodo with the included charging cable. Something that not everybody knows is that charging cable will also charge the batteries that are attached to the Red Komodo. In my experience, I definitely recommend sticking with Canon official batteries because the Red Komodo is still under beta testing and you don't want to mess up your super expensive camera. Now I've tried both the 955 and the 975 batteries, and I actually personally like the 955s better just because of the weight, the size, the form factor. I think it's just more functional. I'd rather get 4 of these than have 2 of the 975 batteries. And yes, there's an even smaller version yet that is not necessarily officially tested and approved by RED, but they do have a smaller one if you're trying to fly this on a gimbal. I love that the Komodo uses these batteries one at a time and that these batteries are hot swappable. That's awesome. Next thing that I'd recommend picking up is a monitor because there is, for the first time, a built-in touchscreen monitor on the Komodo, and I love it. It actually works really well. And the cool thing is you can actually use a smartphone or tablet as a monitor because the RED Control app is amazing. There's such low latency. So you can even use a phone or a tablet as a monitor, and I'll link below some accessories to help you out with that. But I still recommend a dedicated SDI monitor. My recommendation is the Small HD 502. I like the size of it, the weight of it, the price isn't even that bad either. And this one is both SDI and HDMI, so I like the functionality of that. And this leads me right into must-have accessory number 4, some way to mount your monitor. There are so many different ways that you can do so. Right here I have a ball head that's threaded to threaded so that it can actually mount on my Outrigger handle, and I really like this one. This one's from Ulanzi, works well, it's cheap, and it's actually really strong. And it's super, of course, versatile. Dude, check out how versatile this is. Swivel, so easy, lock it in for someone else to check it out. First AC, second shooter, whatever you got, people helping you out, or you just want to monitor yourself if you're filming yourself. This ball head is super flexible, and I love how small it is. Some ball heads are nice and small, but they're so flimsy, and some ball heads are so strong, but they're huge. This one's the perfect in between. Unfortunately, hashtag not sponsored. Your 5th must-have accessory is a lens, of course, but here's what I want to say about that. These Komodo Stormtrooper editions come with the Canon RF to EF mount, but I don't know if the actual production models will, and what you need to know is that this camera has autofocus, which is awesome. It's not the best, but it does work well. And you need to be careful though, because not all lenses are currently supported. This is actually an RF mount camera, but RF lenses aren't even supported yet. So we're still going through beta testing, we're still getting new firmware updates. Now, of course, not everybody needs autofocus or uses autofocus, so when you're choosing lenses, I got a little 50mm macro here from Canon, little Canon EF lens. This one's actually an old lens from my wife. I use a 16-35 f2.8 version 3 that I'll also swap in for this guy, but I really like keeping it small. So I also recommend the 24mm f1.4. That one is amazing. And last but not least, I really like those Helios lenses. They're manual focus only, but they're nice and cheap, and the bokeh you get out of those is super unique. I know tons of you are waiting for test footage, so make sure you hit that subscribe button and that bell notification because my 3rd video on the Komodo that's coming out soon is gonna be all about test footage and sample footage that I've shot with this guy. Now for number 6, I recommend picking up some filters, especially ND filters. Now for me, I always use Zeiss UV filters. I figured if you're gonna go for good quality glass, why cover it with some cheap plastic? So I go for the good stuff. And then also, I swear by these ProMaster variable ND filters. I really like them. They're super high quality, very low distortion in your footage, and I like that these actually have a hard stop. So when you're turning that neutral density filter, it actually stops and so you know exactly how far to turn it. I really like that. These work super well. Now on top of that, I also recommend the Canon RF to EF variable ND filter mount. That thing is awesome, but keep in mind, when you take out the ND filter and you don't want to use the ND filter because you need a little bit extra light, a few extra stops, you're gonna have a giant hole unless you also pick up the UV filter for that. Next up is memory. Now this one might be another gimme, kind of like the batteries, but this is super specific. Again, like I said, we're still in beta testing, so only certain cards are actually RED approved. And so if you're going on a big client shoot, why not use RED's official cards? That'll keep you safe. They're not super expensive like their old RED mags. They're actually rebranding Angelbird cards, and they're really good quality. They're good price. I for sure recommend picking up at least one 512 gigabyte card, if not more. So for me, I also really love the SanDisk CFast 2.0 cards. These ones are really good. I've used these for many years on my 1DX Mark II, and I only have 3 128 gigabyte cards. So I'm definitely gonna take my own advice, and I'm gonna pick up a 512 card as well, if not 2 of them. Speaking of memory cards, I actually use the Angelbird Dual CFast 2.0 card reader. It's pretty cool. You can plug in 2 at a time, and this one's pretty nice, but RED actually makes their own, again, Angelbird rebranded ones, and they're pretty sweet as well. I love that red skull logo on them. But if you don't care about the RED logo and having the RED official one, technically any CFast card reader will work, so go with whatever's in your budget. Now, recommendation number 9 is not something that I'm actually going with, or probably even gonna pick up myself, because, like I said, I really like having a minimal rig. Even what I have already with the monitor, the lenses, the batteries, the handle, this is already pretty heavy in my opinion, so I don't wanna fully rig it out. I don't think a cage is necessary, but again, for tons of different filmmakers, this is a must-have accessory, so I recommend some sort of cage system, some sort of extra rail system, or some Timmies on the side to help you out, mount more things, but in my opinion, I really like this minimal look. This is my rig. This is what's the sweet spot for me. You figure out what's good for you. And finally, number 10 for me is a gimbal. When you break all this down, take off the rigs, the handles, everything, you have such a nice little package. It's nice and lightweight, and so there are tons of gimbals out there that can handle the weight of the Komodo. I personally have been using the Pilotfly H2 forever. If you don't love using electronic gimbals, you can also pick up something like the GlideCam. I love the Devin Graham series. Check this one out for sure. Or lately, I've been trying this new one from Feiyu Tech. This one's pretty sweet. It's the AK4500. I really wanted to try this one along with, there's tons of other gimbals out there right now from Zering or other companies out there. There's so many gimbals on the market right now. But this one, again, not sponsored, sent to me to check out. But I really like how it has that 45-degree access, unlike the Pilotfly H2, so that I get a little bit more clearance. I can see my monitors a little bit better. It's definitely something I think you should pick up for your Komodo. But again, there's so many out there, so don't feel like you're limited to one specific one, or you gotta go with the one I recommend. But again, I'll link a bunch below in the description for you to choose from. This was just my top 10 recommendation of accessories that you should for sure pick up. In my opinion, this is my favorite rig that I've built so far that I've been using. I've really loved shooting with the Komodo, and I can't wait to shoot a ton more stuff. Remember, that third video that's coming up of the RED Komodo is gonna be tons of test footage, so if you haven't seen the first video, the unboxing, go check that one out, and then make sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell notification so you can find out when the next video comes out. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Jerry Lane with Nova Tech, and to the next one and beyond. What's up guys, Future Jerry coming at you with 2 bonus accessories. I wasn't sure if I wanted to include these, but I decided might as well share them. What the heck. So the first accessory is just a small on-camera little light for those low light situations, because the RED Komodo actually does pretty good in low light, but it doesn't ever hurt to have a small little light on it. So my recommendations are the Aperture MX light right here. They also have a new MC that's a little bit lighter. It's magnetic, it's RGB. And then also the M9. I love this one. Even though it's not as strong as this one, I love how lightweight this one is. And finally, this little clip-on Godox light. Otherwise, these other ones have little cold shoe adapters, and so they'll work with any little accessory. Again, I'll link below how you can mount it to your RED Komodo. These things are pretty powerful too. And check this out. Booster mode for that extra power when you need it. I love this thing. And then the M9 right here. Tiny little light. But again, pretty powerful too. And then last but not least, this one always surprises me. The little Godox actually gives off so much power. Different light settings, love these lights. I'm linking them all below for you guys. Future Jerry coming at you with the final bonus accessory, and that's a little bit of audio. So for the most part on the RED Komodo, when I go out, my rig is pretty minimal, and I'm mostly doing B-roll shots, so I don't really need audio. And so even when I do need audio, I'm usually in studio, so I can have my full mic set up, my audio set up. But what I've noticed is having this just in case is pretty handy. So I prefer using the Rode VideoMic Pro Plus, and then also a little magic friction arm, which you'll need a little adapter as well. I'll link that below in the description. But you can use whatever mic you want. You don't have to use friction arms. This is just my recommendation. Again, links below. The RED Komodo records its own audio, but again, that's just good enough for some scratch audio. I would not use that internal audio. So make sure you're syncing up some sort of audio source, or you just plug and play, because it does have a 3.5mm jack. And here's what it looks like, fully rigged and kitted out. Little light source there. My monitor, mic on top, on the friction arm. That looks pretty sweet. And if I take off the mic, see what it looks like with a little light source. Again, I can put another light on top of this if I wanted to. Small HD, and hopefully you guys are seeing that. It's pretty awesome how modular you can make your RED rig. I can even adjust the handle. I can adjust my ball head. Oh. But currently, this is my favorite shooting rig right now. Nice and minimal.